Welcome to the 5th episode of my podcast, Young and Stuck. I have Tamara Gordon here, my 4th guest on the podcast, and I'm super excited to have her here as she's been one of my friends for a super long time. She's a super inspiring person. Professionally, she's a social worker, a sales representative. Her spare time, she's a Twitch streamer, and again, an amazing friend of mine. So Tamara, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here today. I'm excited to be here.
How are you doing? How's your quarantine been? Is this day 50 or 40 something?
This is day 50 for me because we had a lovely staff meeting on, I think it was the 15th of March is when the last time I interacted with humans and gave people hugs and things. But it's going pretty well. I'm surprised at how slow life can feel sometimes now, but also how you can adapt and get into new routines with this change. Like, I feel like my days are more normal now than they felt a few weeks ago when we were first starting through this quarantine life.
I really relate to that. At first, I felt like a big transition between the two, between like normal life and quarantine life. But now it feels like everyone's shifting to the new normal. So it's going to be interesting to see when things start to go back to reopening, if policies are going to go full or partial, but how people adapt back into everyday life. Do you think, like, for me, I really want to try and keep some of the new habits I've implemented? Like, what about you?
I think that there's a couple of things I'm going to be doing from now on, like keeping sanitizer in my car. I'm probably going to, I have this new habit of washing my hands the second I get into my house. I think that that's something that's going to continue. And I think that those are okay habits to develop. They just protect you and your health, and they protect others, which I think is more important. And yeah, I definitely think that in society too, we're going to see some permanent changes, like the plexiglass up at the retail locations and stuff. They would be kind of silly to take it down because it's been implemented to protect people. So why not keep that in place, right?
Yeah, I get that. It feels like we need to have something there, and it's not like Corona's really going to be going away anytime soon, essentially. I like that, though. Something I didn't do, which seems so basic and something we were taught as children, is to wash our hands when we get home. And like, I have now started doing that too, frequently washing my hands as soon as I come home. As soon as I touch anything, I sanitize. And though, like you're saying, those are things that we should be just doing in everyday life. Especially you and I working in customer service, we touch so many people's devices and like money and pin pads and everything like that. It's crazy. I couldn't imagine putting my hands under a black light.
Could you just think, I don't know, a few months ago, I think back to the fact that we used to hold cell phones, like customer cell phones in our hands. I would sanitize most of the time, but there were times in between customers I didn't think, if we were busy or something, I wasn't washing my hands in between customers. And like, but you never thought of that. You didn't think about the germs that were transmitting. You were just doing your job. It was like, of course I washed my hands before I ate and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, when it came to just in between customers and day to day, I just did what I did. It wasn't a thought. And now it's like, that's all I think about when I'm touching a customer's phone now, like, because as you know, we're still open and we're still working. So now when I interact with a customer, it's like Lysol everything, sanitize everything. And it's quite intense, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And the interest of the social distancing being such like an affectionate person, or like for me, I like to not touch people, but I guess I like to like touch their shoulder and be like, hey, how's it going? Like with my friends. So we were even saying the other day, it's kind of difficult, like not being able to just give somebody a hug even when you want to, and things like that. So it's going to be interesting working and having to implement social distancing measures when even with some of our customers, we were always like, hey, how's it going today? You know what I mean?
How many customers hugged us at the end of a transaction when they were super happy with us? We were like, we always excelled in customer service. And on a weekly basis, I had customers wanting to hug me. And like, it's going to be very different now because that won't be okay anymore.
That's so true.
So what a world.
I know. So I guess moving forward, today's topic of our podcast, we want to talk about dating and monogamy and polyamory and all things love and relationship. I think Tamara is the perfect person to have on the podcast because she's had a lot of self-development in this area specifically. Being just a bit of a background, Tamara was in a long-term relationship for, was it 9, 8, 10?
It was like 4 months shy of 10 years.
Okay, yeah, 4 months shy of 10 years of monogamous relationship, and then went through some self-development to find herself into the new dating world and of romance and excitement, and sometimes single life, sometimes not, depending on what time of the year it is, what season we're going through.
True.
So my birds are getting really excited if anybody can hear them. They love talking about romance.
Yeah, they like the dating life.
Yeah, they love it. So yeah, I just thought Tamara is super mature and has a lot of great insight on kind of navigating this thing in our 20s, which can be somewhat difficult at times. So Tamara, if you wanted to give me a bit of your backstory about your long-term relationship that you had.
Yeah, for sure. So, first off, I think that the title Young and Stuck for your podcast is a really good way to kind of explain how I felt once the relationship got to that point. But beforehand, I was very young. I was 18, and I had met an individual who was a few years older than me at the time. And at the time, he seemed like he had his stuff together. He had everything. He had his own apartment. He had a steady job. And to an 18-year-old, that seems like quite a bit. So, of course, I fell in love. I had a few really good years. I was monogamous, and we always talked right from the beginning of the relationship. We talked about bringing in like threesomes and having that openness sexually, because from the get-go, I always communicated my sexuality, which was being bisexual, and how that was something I was very comfortable with and wanted to explore. So, but again, I was very young, so I was very naive at the time. So as the relationship continued, I grew up a lot more, and we never explored anything besides like a very monogamous, very vanilla relationship, which at the time I was happy with or thought I was. I made myself get through high school and get my diploma, and then I got myself through college. So it was really great because having that steady monogamous relationship let me have a partner that helped me get through some of those things in life.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really cool. And it was okay. It had its ups and downs. Definitely, as time went on, I began to realize that I was maturing and growing past the individual I was with. So like, I noticed that my goals of like buying a house and wanting to get married weren't goals that he had. And then I would bring up the topic again of having like that sexual experiences opening up of threesomes and stuff, and he was shooting them down. It was not okay with it. Did not want to talk about my bisexuality, did not really want to hear about it. So the tune had changed probably like 5 years into the relationship. So then at that point, about 5 years in, I realized I wasn't as happy as I was, but I was in the middle of college and I was so stuck because financially I was stuck. I couldn't leave him. Like we had a place together. We had been living together for many years at this point. So I was just like, okay, I'm going to try to fix it, because that's what you do. You fix a relationship, right? So I tried that for a couple of years. Didn't talk about anything at all regarding opening up the relationship, even though that was something I wanted. I just buried those feelings deep inside and went, nope, I'm going to try to fix it with marriage and kids and the traditional things that a relationship says you need. And then I got to a point probably at year 7 where I just was not interested in this relationship anymore. He was not willing to compromise on those topics that I'd mentioned before, the marriage, the kids. I was not happy in the position anymore because I could tell that those were things I wanted, but I couldn't picture myself with him anymore. I was picturing myself like having a kid and then divorcing him. Like that's ridiculous. Who does that? Like who has a child with someone and then goes, okay, I've had my kid, now I'm going to divorce you. Like, no, that's irrational.
At the time, though, you were trying to, I think, maybe kind of appease everybody and everybody's needs at the time with that thinking. But then it's crazy when you think back on things, you're like, wow, I was actually thinking that. Like, I'm in such a different place now.
And like, obviously you saw me, Nicole, go through this because we've been friends for about 5 or 6 years now. So you saw me go through this whole situation of wanting to have kids with this partner, wanting to have a life. And then suddenly I started talking about wanting to leave him. Mm-hmm. And then I started talking about wanting something different. And I didn't even think about like, and we'll talk more about who I am now and what I am now in my life. But beforehand, I wasn't even thinking of that. I was just thinking about needing to escape and be by myself for a bit because I felt the heaviness of this person and I still felt so stuck. So then it took me about 2 years to leave him. So like, I know that sounds like a scary number for people listening. And like, please understand, I'm telling you this story because I want you to know you can leave if
Mm-hmm.
you're in a
Mm-hmm.
situation. I felt like it was impossible, but what I did, it took about 6 months of hard work. And I basically told all my friends, including you. I told you, Nicole, and I told all my friends I was going to leave him. That was step one because it was making it real. Because then I was committing to other people that this is something I was going to do. So then, if for any reason I was pulling back, they could question it for me and go, "Are you sure about this, Tamara?"
Mm-hmm.
So first I made it real, and then I started saving money. I started saving money and making a plan because I needed a place to live. I was very fortunate to have someone and have in their life a big life change as well and need a roommate. So there was timing on that that couldn't have worked out better for me, but I was fortunate. I separated all of our stuff, which he didn't even notice. So that tells you how the relationship was at that point. I'd separated all our documents, our photos. I packed all my things. He didn't notice a thing. And then I gave him a conversation point one day and I said, "Hey, I'm not happy anymore. I'm going to be leaving this relationship. And please understand, I didn't do this completely blindly. We had had many conversations for years up to this point that ended where the result was just not there. So like, what some people would go, oh, you blindsided him. No, I didn't blindside him. He should have realized this was coming.
Yeah.
Um, so I told him, give us 5 days. I'm going to leave for 5 days, go spend a couple nights at a friend's house, and you need to think about some things, and then we'll have a conversation. And that was the craziest thing I had ever said. Like, wow. But the best thing I ever said. I want you to understand, it changed my life.
It must have taken so much bravery, and like, here's some validation for that, because honestly, to take the courage to be in an unhappy position and make the initial move out of it is very, very difficult, as I've experienced myself.
Mm-hmm.
But to restart your whole life with somebody you've been with since you were 18 years old, and to have the conversation of like, listen, I'm gonna go away for 5 days. Like, that must have been so hard in the moment, but liberating and freeing, if I could imagine.
it, I feel not bad, but like my mind was so made up at this point that that 5 days was just me trying to be almost nice and give him like a bit of a buffer in between. So that liberation feeling, like you said, I felt free the second I said those words, but I still had 5 days of him thinking that he could salvage this relationship with whatever he could
Mm,
say. So that was difficult. And I wish I hadn't done that. I think that maybe a cleaner break would have been easier because that just caused a bit more emotional stress on his end, I think.
um, yeah, in reflection.
Yeah, just in reflection. But besides that, it was so liberating and it was so amazing to have the support of my friends and family in this. And I think it's so important to communicate to people. Don't like you can have people in your corner and people will be on your side if you are honest and you just show you genuinely need support in this matter. Because I had unlimited support at the time. So yeah, so obviously he and I had that conversation 5 days later. And one of the things I tried to ask him at the time was I revisited, how about we open up the relationship? Give me time to be free, explore my bisexuality. It was one of the like 50 reasons why I was breaking up with him, but I was giving him one. I was like, let's try one thing. And he wouldn't hold it. He said no. He was disgusted by it. He was disgusted that I was bisexual. He thought it was terrible. And that just solidified the fact I didn't want to be with him anymore. Right?
That's hurtful for you,
Yeah.
especially like for you. That's who you are inside and what you identify as. And 2020 people.
Well, exactly. And I thought it was kind of ridiculous because as you know me as a person, even before the person I am today, I've always been super open about my sexuality. So
Yeah.
like it was just like, where who are you? And like, have you like been dating me for the last 9 years? Like,
What's happening right now? Are you
yeah,
disassociating? Like,
like right, like who are you? Who am I? No, but for real, it was the most interesting situation. But at the end of the day, I ended up leaving that relationship and You know what? It took, like I said, it took probably 2 years, but it was the best decision I ever made because I suddenly wasn't stuck anymore. Because I felt like I was stuck. That was my path I was taking. There was
Mhm.
no choices of changing it. And then I realized that you can change your life if you want to, you know?
I like that.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah. So thank you for listening to my backstory. But that's kind of where I got to this point today, which is so much fun.
Yeah. And again, thank you for sharing. And I think everybody that's listening, either if there's anybody that's maybe feeling similar, they might be able to take from that, or
Mhm.
um, down the road in their life. You never know. It's just good to know that there's people that have been through things similar to you, to help validate kind of how you feel. And also for anybody that's a bit younger, like I said, sometimes you don't see these things coming in your future. And to
Yeah.
have maybe people that have been through it or that are a bit older that can share this with you, it's really valuable information. So, because I
Yeah.
know when I was 17 and 18, I thought I was going to be with my boyfriend forever. I was the same as you. I was in a 8-year relationship, and leaving it was kind of, so both of us were arguing at the end, but we knew that we needed to separate from each other. But a lot of it was that we were just going in different directions. And I remember you and I talking about it a lot at the time, but
Hmm.
it was something that I really needed. Like you said, you needed your partner at the time. I needed mine at the time to help me grow, and we helped each other so much, but we were kind of just going this way instead of this way together.
Hmm.
And um, it was something I didn't think was going to happen. I thought we were going to go together forever. But life is full of different experiences and changes, and there was ups and downs and dark times and light times, but
Yeah.
doing what's right for you, and you being like anybody, especially you, um, doing what's right for yourself is the most, like being true to yourself is the most important thing you can do in times like
Yeah.
that, especially in regards to relationships.
And like also just as a key point, because I didn't mention this part because I never want to like paint the negativity in a relationship, but you deserve the best. Anyone deserves the best. So if you're in a relationship that has controlling actions, that has a partner that does not communicate with you, that has such negativity that my mother said this to me once that like, oh, well, the good outweighs the bad. Sure, people say that, but the bad's still there. So like
Mhm.
be aware of that too. Like be very reflective of your relationship and make sure you're genuinely happy in what you are in.
Yeah, genuinely happy. That's so true.
Yeah.
So bridging from your relationship, the when you left your relationship,
Yeah.
you were single for a bit.
Yes, I
On
was.
purpose. Yeah.
And I
This,
still kind of am, I guess,
sorry,
in
yeah.
a way.
I was thinking about,
It's a complicated, what do we call it? A pie now? I call it a pie in my pieces.
yeah, your puzzle pieces. I love it. I love your description for it. It makes me happy.
But
um,
you're not wrong.
so bridging from being in a monogamous relationship to bridging to dating,
Yeah.
um, how how was that for you? Were you kind of like nervous at first? Were you like a fish out of water? Because I know that's how I felt at first.
Okay. So, first of all, your birds are so excited about that we're getting to this topic. Tinder.
Thank you.
OMG. Tinder. What a world. I was 28 when I became single, and I was feeling really good. I'd lost some weight. I was feeling, like I said, really good about myself, and I hopped onto Tinder, and oh my God, the attention I got. I have never had so much attention in my life. Um, and I had to learn how to filter that attention, if that's the right way to say it. Because, oh my gosh, there's a lot of filth in there, if I can say.
So there's so much attention on Tinder, and some's good attention, some's bad attention, as you're saying.
That's what I'm
But
trying to say.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's kind of like not a game, but it's kind of like Gino. Sorry about that.
That's
It's
okay.
really. Can you hear her very loudly?
Only when she got super excited when we started to talk about the bridging, I heard her a bit there, but otherwise she's been fine.
Okay,
I
cool,
can hear you fine.
cool. My podcast is gonna get to know the birds very well.
Yes, they're beautiful.
Thank you. Um, So yeah, being on Tinder, sorry, I felt like some people treated it as a game where they would just like shoot off these random weird ass like these random weird ass messages and pickup lines that were super like left field, and it would give me like giggles and stuff like that. And other people were
Yeah.
really genuine,
Yeah.
um, despite not even like whether you're just looking to hook up with somebody, just go for a walk, meet them, whatever your search on Tinder is for at that time. I think there's a wide selection of people.
I agree with you. And I think that it was important to communicate from the get-go what you were looking for when you met new people on Tinder.
Mm-hmm.
Because there were many a times where like, not intentionally, but someone I noticed, and I don't mean this in the wrong way, but I know as a girl on Tinder, I get a lot more matches than say maybe a guy does. Because I've talked to some guys about this, and I'm not saying I don't want to use that whole gendered thing, but like it's been apparent in my search. My brother, he is a really good looking singer who girls adore. And he once came to me because he had 3 likes on Tinder, and I had 99 plus from the second I signed up. So like it's just I'm just trying to explain that that's how, because it's just that auto swipe right that guys do. You
Yeah,
just end up getting more matches. So
yeah,
because of that, you have to communicate so quickly what you're looking for, because it's likely they're just swiping right on everything that they see, right? And I'm not saying that's every guy. There are genuine people out
mm-hmm.
there, but you
Mm-hmm.
have to filter through that because there's a lot of I don't want to swear on your podcast unless I'm allowed to swear.
You
Am
can
I allowed to
swear.
swear? Okay. There's a lot of fuck boys on there, okay? And you have to filter unless you want a fuck boy. And at the beginning when I was single, that's all I was looking for. So
Yeah,
I had gold because that's all that was I was getting was all these guys. And it was pretty wonderful. And on the flip side, I was able to also try to find for the first time experience with girls, which was super cool.
yes.
So super, super cool. So yeah, so my dating life at the beginning was very exciting. I had some dates with some guys. I had my first mini crush on a guy who ended up being a bit of a toy, and I had to deal with that, which happens. Um, and I also had my first experience with couples, which was super cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that kind of opened me up to what I was looking for because the word polyamory didn't come around the second that I became single. I just knew I wanted something different. And I knew I wanted experiences with both men and women at the same time, separately, not sure, but I just knew I wanted more than one. So I started to research more, and that's how I discovered the word polyamory.
Yeah,
And
so I guess if anybody's listening and they're not sure what polyamory is, it's
mhm.
I'll just say a dating a lifestyle, a romantic lifestyle, um, where you date more than one person at one time. Like you can have a primary partner that you spend most times with, and then you can also have interest with other partners as relationships with other partners as well. Is there anything I'm missing or that I should add into this?
No, I think you've basically got it there. It's basically a relationship with more than one person. It can be, you could be in a situation where you all live together and you all have a relationship together. So that's similar to the term throuple, if you've heard that before. You can have a relationship with multiple people. It could be 3, 4, 5, 6, 20, whatever you want it to be. And it could be just an open
I like
relationship.
that. Complete free.
It's freedom. It's just more than it's a lifestyle of wanting a relationship with more than one person. Is really what I see it as.
Throughout experiencing like your dating life, moving into polyamory, did you experience, because you were in a monogamous relationship so long, did you experience things like jealousy or possessiveness over your partner that you needed to work through in the new kind of lifestyle that you're moving into? Because I can imagine for myself, I could see the excitement and all of that in it, but I also could see myself having those like natural tendencies to be a little possessive.
Mm-hmm.
But I could imagine there's probably ways to move past that and see things differently. How did you work through that?
That's a great question. I still think I'm still working through it as I every day, I guess, is a little bit of it. But first off, I haven't really had too serious of a primary relationship to reflect fully on. But I did have a mini little relationship a couple months ago I can kind of reflect on where we tried the idea of having a polyamorous lifestyle and it just didn't really work out at the time. But when we were talking about it, I did experience some jealousy. And the biggest thing I did with that jealousy is I just communicated it because And not all the time, because sometimes if I slept on it, I'd feel better in the morning. And I started to learn that like maybe in the moment I'd feel jealous about something or I'd be upset about something. But if I like took a little bit of time, it would be just like water off a duck's back. But if there was something serious, say there was like a communication error, or there was like, say I noticed I wasn't feeling good and there was like a lack of affection somewhere, I would just communicate that, because I think it's important that to understand you're human and that sometimes those feelings can come across. It's just how you react to the feelings is the most important part.
That's so true. To keep the harmony and peace between everybody, communication and understanding would be really important.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say your favorite part about being polyamorous is?
I love that I can give love to so many people.
Mm,
Um, I feel like I'm a very sweet person. I get called a sweetheart a lot. And I think that sweetness shines through when I really care for someone. So the fact that I can, right now, I have a couple of little relationships, I guess you can call them. They're dating, some are serious, some are not. And each of those are very different. And the individual connections with those people is just so wonderful, because I get to learn someone so different. Each person's different. They give me something different. And in exchange, I can give them a piece of me. And it works well. Some relationships are more sexual than others, some are more platonic than others. Um, it makes it sound like I have a ton. I'm just being really general right now.
yeah,
But yeah, it's just, I just feel like in my time, I want to be able to give so many people me, and in exchange I'm getting so much wonderfulness out of it. So why not?
yeah, exactly. Why not? That's so
Right?
true. Being able to fully express yourself with a lot of people that can accept you and give you love too is pretty amazing. And I think one of the biggest things I live by, and a lot of my friend group does, is just to come from a genuine place of love and acceptance
Mm-hmm.
with everybody that you approach and come by in your life. So to kind of move that into your relationship is a nice way to think about it. And it's we've had many discussions about it, but hearing you talk about it from a bit of a different perspective is also really nice too. It's making me feel nice inside
Right?
because it's seeing you feel happy and seeing how the changes you've made in your life from feeling stuck and kind of feeling like you weren't really able to express yourself properly, and now moving into a more of a, whether you were single at certain points of the past. How long have you been out of your monogamous relationship for?
About a year and a half now.
Year and a half?
A year and 7 months? Yeah, a year and a half.
Okay. So for the past while, coming on 2 years, I guess, you've had lots of like different seasons and chapters through your development,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of really nice to see you at a piece that you, as you call it, your puzzle, that you can kind of fit these things into your life in a way that feels really good for you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And thank you for noticing that, because like it's not like I've come to this spot easily or anything like that. And I still have a long ways to go. My puzzle is not made yet. I've had pieces try to fit and they didn't really work. I have pieces that I call, my friend uses the term comet, and I'm going to call it a puzzle piece that's a comet because it's going to work. Okay.
It's gonna
And
work.
it's going to work. And what it is basically is a comet is someone who comes in and out of your life. So I have someone right now who was like in my life for a little bit. They left for like 8 months and now they're back for a bit. And like, so their puzzle piece might be just temporary, but that's cool, you know? So
Yeah.
I think that like my road has been very interesting and I still have a ways to go, but it's super cool to see kind of where it's becoming right now. Cause I think it's come to this point where some of those pieces are becoming more stuck there and more stable, and it's cool.
I think your ability to allow people to come in and out of your life too is something that's important because for me, I get attached to people and I I really like goodbyes can be hard for me sometimes. So,
Mhm.
but I've had to kind of grow into being able to be like, these people are here for certain reasons in my life, for certain parts and certain lessons. And the fact that you're just reflecting on that as something that brings you abundance and good things into your life is is inspiring because the fact that you can look at somebody maybe not being in your life for a while as something that's still positive for you is pretty cool.
Thank you for that. It again didn't come across easy, and I don't want to sound like I'm this perfect person, because like when that individual, before I called them a comet, the first time they left, They hurt me. Of course they did. I was hurt at first. They were poly as well, and they just felt a bit overwhelmed at the time. So they were just shortening their pieces a little bit. And I ended up getting hurt a little bit from that. But you know what? Being able to reflect, I understood that that wasn't anything bad. So again, it's feelings are valid. I love to say that feelings are valid. You're allowed to feel however you feel. It's about how you react to the feelings. So like I never reacted to those negative feelings. And then that individual came back into my life. And now we have this great little dynamic going on. So like it just goes to show that like, you know, like things are not like things are constant is what I'm trying to say. Like things always change. It's okay to react, like it's okay to feel sometimes. Just don't let that reaction piece take over.
Yeah.
Because like if I had reacted, say, heavily, I wouldn't have that comment. And now I appreciate that. And like I know that life is short and I want to have fun. I want to have good connections. So like it's just that continuous thing, growing, understanding, you know.
Yeah. Is there any specific things or tools that you do to help with, like, say, emotional regulation, or the way that you view things that you implement in your life?
Um, it's a good question. I communicate a lot. I think that's something that works really well for me in regards to my relationships with others is I always am checking in with people just to say, I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you have a wonderful week. And that goes for friends too, not just romantic interests. Like, so I'm always checking in and I think that makes me feel good. Self-care is huge. Self-care is really huge. A lot of my relationships I don't see often. So these people I see maybe is once every 2 months or so. I talk to them often, but after I see them, sometimes you can get down because you've had such a good time and you're so excited and life is so great. So that like self-care is so important to remind yourself that like you are loved. And even if they're not physically here right now, that's okay, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's so, so important. Like I can't stress enough self-care, like get 30 face masks. I don't care.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, self-care is really, really, really important, because it's finding, like, we talked about it in the podcast that I put out yesterday with Jamie. We talked about if you're trying to, like, display this image of somebody, but you're not truly that image inside, you're just acting like it's not authentic and it's not who you truly are. You're just portraying something. So by giving yourself the self-care that you need to be the whole rounded person of, like, accepting all parts of your relationship and all parts of your life,
Mm-hmm.
to really have, like, a healthy balance is really good.
I agree. Um, and let me ask you, Nicole, since you've already talked self-care, but we've talked self-care, what's your go-to self-care right now?
My go-to self-care right now is journaling, in this new book that I got. It's called the
Ooh,
High Performance Planner.
ooh, I like
Yeah,
it.
I'll bring it up to the, I don't know.
Oh, thank you. Now I can see. I was like, it's a black book.
Yeah, it's High Performance Planner. It's by Brendan Burchard, and basically it goes with this audiobook, but this is my form of self-care right now.
Oh, I
Is
love it.
doing morning mindset questions. Today's prompt, which I have my abundance thing up there.
Nice.
And then I write out my day and I do email journaling. And then it also has, Bird is so sassy.
It's because we were talking dating. I know I repeat that over and over, but it's like it's because we're basically having such an exciting conversation. We're like, bam.
Yeah. Gina, are you excited?
Yes.
And then you, at the end of each week, it has like a weekly review and a performance habits thing. And then I've been journaling in it. So that is what I've been doing. Sadly, I did not find out about this alone. My good friends Nima and Omid both have one, and we were helping Nima set his up before quarantine.
Yes.
And I fell in love with it, so I immediately ordered one for myself.
That's wonderful. You'll have to tell me how it is. I'm a big fan of journaling and stuff.
Yeah, so I've been doing that, and then getting outside is really big for me too, because I am a super high energy person, and I like to have coffee in the morning, so I'm limiting myself to one and then a decaf one after, and water for the rest of the day, but I find I'll be flying. So burning energy is essential for me to be able to sleep at night.
That's fair. I think that that's so important, especially with the weather getting better right now. Like going outside is just so nice, like getting the vitamin D
Mm.
and I know we're in quarantine life right now, which makes it difficult, but like I love my favorite thing in the morning is to go for a walk along the waterfront and say good morning to everyone as they walk by.
Yes.
That is my favorite thing. Everyone say good morning to me. It just makes me feel good.
So Alicia bought a bike. I don't
Yes.
know if you heard, and then I have the same bike now, and Becca has the same bike. We're riding them downtown, and we're matching, and they're like the Mary Poppins bikes. And all these people were like, "Hello, nice bikes," like waving at us. And we were just like, "Hello."
Ah, that's amazing. That must have felt good when you were riding and like getting that like recognition of like A, doing something healthy and B, kind of being a noticeable person in society.
Yeah, I guess I'm becoming more okay with being noticed as I'm posting video content of myself online.
Hey, I love it. As you know, I always, so one thing I can talk about regarding being noticed is my purple hair. Um, I have right now, quarantine life has caused it to fade quite a bit, but that's okay. I have quite bright purple hair on the regular and it's quite curly usually. So it's usually this like big thing of hair. And I get stopped all the time because of that. And you have to be the right type of person, but you know what, how good it makes me feel to like know that I'm being memorable. Like I think that in life, one of my life things is to be memorable. I just like to be that person that like will be remembered. Like who doesn't want to have that, right?
Yeah.
Super cool that like I can do something like have bold hair and like as a positive feel good about it and others notice that I feel good about it. It's like super cool.
I like that. And
Yeah.
it's your hair is like it's so nice and bold, and at work people will be like, I was talking to the girl with the purple hair, and I'll be like, Tamara. Like I know
It's a
who it is.
sales tactic.
Sorry.
I said it's a sales tactic because then I'm memorable. It's another thing. So if you want to be, if you're in sales, I could talk sales. We should do a sales podcast one day, like way down the road. You and I could talk sales for flipping hours if anyone ever wants to learn sales. But
I think people
one,
do want a sales podcast.
yeah, we're going to do a sales podcast.
Okay.
Oh my God, I'm going to love that. Anyways, if you want to be memorable in sales, have something that it stands out. So our boss has heterochromia. She has two different colored eyes. That's super noticeable. Everyone remembers that about her, right? I have purple hair. People remember that. Things about you, Nicole, they remember your energetic personality and that you're blonde. So it's always the blonde curly hair girl, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Am I
So
the
like,
only blonde person at the store? Because you're
yeah,
purple
I
now.
went because when we were both blonde, we got confused all of the time.
All the time. And our writing is kind of similar, but I know you're writing.
I know your writing too. Yours
Ooh,
is
is
more,
that neat artistic writing?
and yours is very like curvy and loopy.
Yeah. It's the left-handedness that you have. I wish I was left-handed.
Oh, you know what? I'm not gonna lie. I like being left-handed. Minus the fact that when you draw, you get like pen all on the side of your hand.
Were you that kid that's like, I'm gonna be left-handed, and you're like determined to be left-handed?
God, no. My mother tried to make me right-handed because she's old-fashioned. So now I'm this weird person that does sports with my right hand and I write with my left and eat with my left, but then sometimes I eat with my right. So
Really?
like I'm just weird.
Almost, and if I can say it right, ambidextrous.
You said it correct. Ambidextrous.
Sick.
But
Cool.
yeah, but fun times. All of the good things. All I could say in like a summarizing in regards to life and self-care and being bold is like on the flip side, just as like a little comment here,
Mm-hmm.
don't be afraid. Like people also won't remember you for 5 seconds after in like embarrassing things. So if you have something negative happen,
Uh-huh.
people aren't going to remember that a lot of the time. Like, because people are afraid to be bold sometimes because they're afraid of like that negative thing too. That like, oh, well, what if someone doesn't like it? They're not going to remember 5 minutes later. And if they do, feel thankful that you're still in their mind.
Exactly. Feel grateful that they're still thinking about you.
Exactly. You're picking up their brain cells and their
Yeah.
memories and their time. It's wonderful.
And secondly, great quote or great words from Gary Vee in his tea with Gary Vee yesterday regret is always going to out-trump judgment or be bigger than judgment. Meaning that at the end of your life, when you're 92 fucking years old and you're laying on your deathbed with all your tubes, are you like thinking, man, I was really worried about people were going to think about my purple hair, so I never dyed it purple, or I was worried about people judging me because I wanted to start a podcast, so I never did it. Yeah. And that just like, boom, made so much sense to me, like mind blown. Sometimes I don't have words for things. Like people are going to learn this throughout the podcast that I will just make sound effects when I get really excited because words can't describe things sometimes.
I agree with you.
One thing I think you're doing really well is living a life of like no regrets, to kind of say it that way, and no fear of judgment, and just being your authentic self. And I think that you've done a really good job of instilling that in your younger siblings too.
Thank you. It's not easy. It didn't happen overnight. Ooh, look at like my ponytail just falling down. We're just going to fix that as we talk. Bam, fixed. Ha. Anyways, yeah, like it didn't happen overnight. And like, I still am not perfect. I still have my moments, you know, but you're right. Like my theory is some of the things I experienced, for example, going on dates with people. Dating is so scary, meeting new people, because that's just like such an experience of like exhilaration. You're like, oh my God, you're excited. You don't know if they're going to like you. They've only seen pictures of you online. I'm a curvy girl. So I always joke I'm going to catfish people because I look a lot skinnier online than I am in person.
We've had so many conversations of me showing up to your house. Tamara, do I look like I'm going to catfish somebody?
Nicole, right? No, you're not going to catfish.
You asking the same thing? Tamara, you look hot as fuck.
Yeah, we do. But the thing is that like, if you didn't have those experiences, like if I hadn't gone on that date with, say, that one time, I wouldn't have an amazing relationship with the couple that I do right now.
Yeah.
And like, I just went for it. And now like, I couldn't be happier. I once went on a date and got stood up. And that was pretty crummy, but you know what? I also got revenge after, which is sweet. But besides that, if I hadn't had that, I wouldn't have a story to tell people about the fact I got stood up, that I met a guy on Tinder and we talked for a week, made plans to go to a coffee shop. I get to the coffee shop. He had unfriended me, ghosted me, and he just wasn't there. Crazy, eh?
What'd you do to get him back?
My friend matched with him.
Yeah.
And she coordinated a date.
Uh-huh.
And then she did not show up.
And
my friend is like a 10. My friend's like a 10. So
you
like
are a 10 too.
Oh, thank you. I know I'm a 10. I'm a 10 on a really good day. Like I know that. But like she was like, this was like when like she was his 10. Like he wanted that. Like you could tell from how he was talking to her, he was like mind blown that she was talking to him kind of thing. And then she never showed up for their date, which was pretty good.
Yeah, and she's just showing them what it's like and looking out for a girl. I get it.
Yeah, like I'm not saying to do that. Like it wasn't the best thing to do. Like please don't ever try things at home that I say without understanding.
Without understanding the context.
Happen. Exactly.
Revenge isn't normally a good thing to do, but sometimes karma gets people.
Exactly. And the timing and everything and the Tinder life, and likelihood is he didn't even show up. If he didn't show up for my date, do you think he would have shown up for another one?
Yeah, true.
But it was just funny because experiencing those things wouldn't, like, I'm the me today I am because of that, you know? And quite confident. I'm feeling great. I'm quote unquote, I don't have a primary relationship right now, so I call myself single, but I have awesome relationships with people and I am going to be moving soon. So like life's good, you know?
Life is good.
Yeah.
What are your hopes for the next, like coming out of quarantine? Is there anything that you are excited to do or try or kind of, I don't know.
Well, I don't know when quarantine's going to end and I have my good days and bad days, but for the most part, I'm excited to explore a new city that I'm moving to because I've lived in Barrie my whole life for the most part. And I love Barrie. We know this. I'm still going to be working in Barrie a little bit, but I'm excited to see new restaurants, meet new people, have new people in the morning to say good morning to as I go on my walks.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm excited to have new coworkers in the sense of like, I'm going to have new job opportunities and stuff, right? So it's going to be really cool. And I'm excited to hug someone. I know that sounds silly, but I haven't had a hug in 50 days. So I'm excited for that day when I can just give someone that like love, you know, because a hug does so much for someone.
Yes.
But what about you?
I'm excited to be able to have some like, I like family gatherings. So one thing for me has been a bit, I like to like go and have barbecues with my mom and stuff and see my little sisters. So kind of not being able to do that as much has been a bit hard. But also, I think I'm excited to hug my friends too and have people over. I'm a social person, so I like having people in my house or
Yeah.
bringing people or going for like I go for walks with people, social distancing walks and things like that. But I don't know. I just miss having people around a lot. So that's what I'm excited for is just humans.
Yeah, I feel you. We're too touchy feely of a species to be like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm excited for is I can do these podcasts in person
Oh.
when quarantine is over.
So we can do the sales one in person, and then we could like do those silly like role plays that they do in sales.
Yes. We can make
One of us,
Alessandro film it. He'd love it.
yeah, one of us could be named like Catherine and stuff, and we could have like stage names and have
Yes.
customer issues. Oh man, see, this is why I want to be a trainer for the company I work for because I
You'd be
feel
a
like I'd
great
be.
trainer.
Thank you. It's my current short-term goal. If I don't continue to do social work, let's be real though, my social work is like where my heart's at.
Yeah. Yeah.
But but no, fun times though, man. It's interesting to have. I'm thankful for technology because look at the fact we can do this today.
Exactly, right? Zoom is fantastic and it's auto recording what I do. So love it.
That's pretty bomb.
Yes.
I didn't even know that. This is my first experience with Zoom today. That's why I
Okay.
had technical difficulties getting on at first.
That's okay. I had some issues my first time. I didn't realize that the free version didn't store to the cloud. So you have to have the non-free, you have to have like the pro version or something. So the first time I tried to do this, I tried to do it with the free version and then we switched to Instagram Live and it was just this, it wasn't, I learned my lesson in technology.
Hey, you know what? You're doing an amazing job. I think it's bomb that you can just release a podcast and have a YouTube channel and stuff. Like, I I don't even TikTok, and I'm dating myself here now. Yes, I'm almost 30. I don't even TikTok yet.
You
Um,
need the TikTok.
it's over my head. I know I need to TikTok. People just send me TikToks. That's how I TikTok. It's just other people send me TikToks and I watch them. It's great.
Yeah, that's so true. I love TikTok. Speaking of social media, is there anywhere that people can find you to follow you? Is there anywhere that you want people to know about, or are you?
Well, I'm pretty ridiculous on my Twitch, so I highly recommend you watch me on Twitch. I am artistic thread on Twitch, so think of a piece of thread being artistic. Otherwise, I also have a random Instagram page called Braid in Maiden. So it is BRAID, the letter N as in Nancy, and then Maiden as in a barmaiden. And that one there, basically, I braid people's hair. It's pretty fun, and I'm always looking for new hair models. So hit me up if you want to be a hair model. Same with you, Nicole. You have long hair.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you want to braid my hair?
Quarantine life, though. So my braid and maiden page, the only person's hair I can braid right now is my roommate. So
Okay, your roommate.
yeah, so I have a roommate, thankfully for her. But otherwise, yeah. So if you want to ever follow me, also LinkedIn. My name is Tamara. I don't know if you can find me through Nicole, but if you know Nicole and you ever want to have professional or career connections, always look for me on there.
Fantastic. LinkedIn's fantastic to drop. I love that you just did that.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Tamara. It was fabulous having you here, and I look forward to having you back on my podcast too. The future is bright.
It is. And thank you so much for having me. And I hope that you have the most sunny of days.
You too. Bye.
Bye.